Welcome back to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left, David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA, where you can check out what is the question of the day. And David, what was that today?
Question of the day is, who do you think will bring the most unique lineups this season? But before I answer, I just want to point out, everybody, he doesn't just mess up your names. His name as well.
It's true, I'm human.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Some of these names are not easy. They spell them incorrectly. But as we said, head over to Twitter.
That's right.
Let us know what you think to our question of the day. We've already answered. We want to hear yours.
And my mind is actually still blown that there is not only a waffle, but a tank known as the pancake. I'm still trying to process that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now joining us, Elevate just won the first match of the night against Noble 5-2. And up next, we have SIMP versus #RU. Now, David, this is one I'm excited about. Just talking about, this is actually kind of a rematch of a Season 4 finals where #RU did beat SIMP. And now we're kind of coming back in. SIMP just a little bit lower than #RU in the standings currently, but not much. But kind of explain to me and also to the viewers why this is important for both teams to win this.
Well, #RU needs to win it so they can demonstrate, if they are coming back, that they are coming back,
Okay.
right? But both teams need to win it for points. #RU, I'd say, needs a little bit more. They haven't played a whole lot of the better teams in the league, so they need to get as many points as they can under their belt before they play, although SIMP is one of those teams.
Yeah.
So, you can expect to lose one match to a good team somewhere down the line, so every point's going to matter, and you want to win here so you have a better chance of going to the playoffs. Meanwhile, SIMP needs to win here after a close loss to Elevate last week.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at those rosters. And David, maybe you can point out just kind of some of the people we should be looking for in this upcoming match for both teams.
Well, for SIMP, Drynitz and Overlord Prime often perform quite well. Photo Finish, Adroxus, or other great players. Brodus having a good match last season.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, for #RU, Maktep Putin, he wants me to call him Master Putin because that's what it actually means.
That's what I've
my
been
answer
saying.
to that is then spell it Master Putin. Maktep Putin.
I'll say it.
Other than that, Abrasive and Game is Rigged are often great players for them.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our second match of the night, SIMP versus #RU up on this first map. David, let's get right into it and see what do we got for our tanks.
SIMP with two 5100s, 4 IS3s, and an AMX 12T, while #RU with two 5100s, 4 IS3s, and a T37. So only a difference in the light tank between the two teams. And I don't know, I'd be interested to see who wins if they actually went head-to-head, although that is fairly unlikely. But on this map, not impossible.
All right. And David, just something to point out that we have Himmelsdorf being played as our first map of the night. Now, we didn't see it that much in the past couple of days. Do you think that teams are just kind of getting more warmed up to the new setup of it? I know that the Northern Cap was changed a little bit. We are seeing it more. I mean, it's been the first two matches of the day. You think we're going to see teams kind of warming up to it?
Definitely. I see where you're going with that. As the meta has been kind of developing, people are learning how to play it by watching other teams. They've been practicing it quite a bit.
Yeah.
SIMP, I believe, their general philosophy in the past, now Drynitz is the one calling, so it's essentially hammer time, if you ask me. Even though it has several SIMP players on it, whoever the caller is makes a huge impact. And while beyond the SIMP banner, it is very much hammer time as it goes. But they have traditionally been reliant or favored maps where they can get guaranteed defense wins, and
Okay.
they perhaps feel that way about Himmelsdorf after holding Elevate on this map. #RU with a very aggressive northern defense. That's going to open them up extremely in the west, but we'll see if SIMP takes advantage of that.
We see we only have Kazo over there defending that western side. Vacuum takes a little bit of damage, about 427 to be precise, in that IS3 from Adroxus. Looks like SIMP in a pretty good setup, holding this courtyard down pretty firmly. Another shot goes out from Vacuum, nothing connecting as Photo Finish, also letting some shots fly. Godzilla mode, but now these shots just kind of going back and forth, nothing quite hitting, and it looks like SIMP is going to respond by sending Crimson and Drynitz back around the side, as well as Nitz himself. Now, David, looking on this side, when you're SIMP and you push up and you maybe see a lot more members of #RU in this Northern Cap, as always, how sure can you be that you should be able to send more people to the west?
Oh, very positive at this point. The only concern I would have is if #RU is doing this, what is their plan for if we go west? I mean, typically, and you don't want to psych yourself out and assume that your enemy is better than they are, but with #RU, it's certainly possible that there is some sort of trap waiting if they push into the west, that #RU has strong positions that they know how to push to hold and reset that. Kazo is sitting in the northwest at C1 in a bush, which is not terrible. It'll give them some advanced knowledge. Right now they know Nitz is there, so they have information on 3 tanks overall. The rest of SIMP is gradually changing, which I have to believe is what #RU wants. Either that or they're so concerned about North Cap, they'll just deal with whatever happens in West Cap and they don't have some sort of grandmaster plan. But as I was saying, Kazo can very easily be isolated here. They know where he is just by deductive spotting.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, in case you're wondering, is if you poke around a building and you get lit, you know that there's a tank out there spotting you, obviously, right?
Sure.
So you try and find another angle, and you know where those bushes might be because you're a pro player and you know these things. So you're trying to isolate which bush could possibly spot you at a time, and then eventually you'll be able to know by deductive reasoning it had to be that bush. You don't have to see them. You just have to use the information you have to infer where they are. Man. So they were doing that. Kazo intelligently ran before it got that bad, but they are on cap, and #U response.
Yeah, it looks like we're talking about these players with that sort of knowledge going to be on just a next level here. Game is really going through the courtyard, taking a lot of damage, and some focus fire going up on abrasive on the hill there, getting dropped to below half in the AMX 5100. Battles now ensuing all over the map. Overload Prime getting a little bit of a scruffle there with the IS-3 and the AMX 5100. Let's see if his teammates can help him out, because Godzilla mode coming from behind, he's in a lot of trouble. Let's see how SIMP can react. Game is really taking some good amount of damage. Valera getting about 390, but Overload Prime might not be enough to take him down before he goes down himself. Maktap Putin going to find it, but Godzilla picking up Overload Prime in the first match, but 10 seconds now remain on the cap. SIMP has put a lot of pressure there. Let's see if #U can respond. Game is rigged, and Wk2 trying to get over on the side as quick as they can. 2 more seconds, 1 second. Let's see if they can find it. Dryness picking it up. No more resets coming through. SIMP might take it. They have taken this. They've got the cap down to what it was supposed to be, and now #U did not respond in time. SIMP, an amazing early victory there, picking it up extremely quick. I mean, that was a great call for them to put a lot of members on cap right then.
That block from Adroxus saved the match. So
really?
There's 2 things that really went well for SIMP there. One was Brodus' position in the south.
Okay.
Was smart. I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to make them pay as they cross all the way. Yeah. I believe it was Game is Rigged that was crossing. He got basically shut down by that one position. Brodus only putting 3 shots into him and then moving into a different direction. Knowing it quite wisely, if you ask me, that he didn't have to actually finish him off. Okay. He just needs to make him so scared that he doesn't want to drive forward anymore.
Sure.
And mission accomplished. Yeah. So in the meantime, Valera Desolator and Wk2 loves... Toffee,
loves
whatever
tap.
that is.
Wk2 loves Taffy.
We can't actually see the rest of your name here.
Send him Taffy.
Apologies. Both of them were trying to cruise in and get a reset over the top after, I believe, Maktap Putin was trying to get resets. He did achieve a couple, but Adroxus, knowing where they were coming from, just put his tank directly in the way, guaranteeing no shots could be wrung out to reset. Really, the only thing that could have solved that for them was Kazo. If he had gone a little bit suicidal just to try anything he could possibly to get the cap, to reset the cap, and even he could have come down through the courtyard and just tried to drive across. Now he'll very likely get picked up, but in that situation, well, he either draws a shot out of an IS-3, giving some of his teammates more of an ability to advance, or he sneaks through, and you know, if it works perfectly, he sneaks through and they have to turn their turret, and yada yada yada. But either way, overplayed by #RU. It looks like they did have a strategy, but it wasn't good enough, or they didn't execute it well enough. And SIMP just playing very intelligently to handle that.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready for our next battle, SIMP versus #RU. Let's see if SIMP can continue this lead. Again, you know, showing that they were good against Elevate, and they're looking like they're good against #RU as well. SIMP on offense, #RU in defense. David, what do we got for tanks?
Both teams running the same lineups as before. 2 5100s, 4 IS-3s for both, an AMX 12T on SIMP, a T37 on #RU.
Now, one thing I want to talk about also, you know, as we're kind of getting to this is, you know, like we're saying, we're in these caster computers. We can see, you know, kind of everything that's going on. But it also can just get kind of chaotic for us as well. And I just saw that the cap kind of caught me off guard when I looked up. But being down in the tanks themselves, lots of fire going on. I can definitely see how that would be, you know, very sort of confusing when all of a sudden the cap goes from 40 seconds down to like 15, and #RU just needs to respond. I think it's a great amount of pressure that you can put on your opponent.
You generally get a certain amount of anxiety anytime cap is happening because you know that can happen.
Okay.
So you're just sitting there, you're like, yeah, it says 30. If you even have a timer, which in the past we didn't, but the timer says what it says, but that doesn't mean it's true, right?
Right.
SIMP getting in the heads of #RU already.
Yeah.
#RU is much more concerned about the Western cap. This is a drastic oversight in just meta play. And then coming down the 0 line, SIMP definitely setting themselves up for another victory here.
Yeah, like you're talking about, the mind games coming out strong as we have rest of SIMP coming in on the side, going to that northern cap. Abrasive and Kazo down there staying in the south. But now we have Valera, Game is Rigged, and Vacuum, 2 IS3s in the AMX to the 100. Looks like they're trying to respond. They're having Drynet sit in the back now, back on that H9 line, H9 line, excuse me. Again, looking for those, probably those flanks. Some shots coming off as the members of SIMP have been spotted. Now it seems as if #RU might be wise to what's going on, and they're sending Abrasive though further south. What is the reasoning for that?
I think they're just trying to make sure they can get around the 8 line and pick up either Drynets if they even know he's there, or just get shots to reset down the 8 line. This 0 line presence isn't going to work out for SIMP quite as well as it did when they played Elevate, because #RU is not pushed up on that corner, so they don't have to run. This is a better situation for the defense than we saw previously. SIMP does not want to push this, and actually #RU spending another, I believe, 5100 down there. Yep, Abrasive and Valera, both in the south, getting ready to come up from underneath and rip up SIMP if they make any sort of aggressive push, using Kazo to lead the whole thing up and make sure that they're getting all their shots on the correct target. If they do this correctly, they will get Drynets, and that'll be a huge pickup for them.
And Drynet's pushing forward ever so slightly as he's going in. Game is ready on the other side of the courtyard. No spots coming in yet for either team. But Kazo, Valera, and Abrasive, like you were talking about, going through, being very aggressive. It looks like they're splitting up just a little bit, trying to maybe find any tagging members, looking for Drynets. Drynets wisely moving forward, getting out of there, trying to get closer to his team so he's not as exposed from the back, as Valera, Abrasive, and Kazo are now almost in the position where he was set up. Now, looking at Drynets as he's coming up to join his team, is there any danger as he kind of pushes up here? Because it looks like the rest of #RU aren't really in any good sort of position to find him. Or is Kazo coming up behind a very, very real threat?
Kazo...
Oh, looks like he's not. He's going to go up the hill.
Going to the 0 line, I approve of that. I've actually been waiting to see how long it was going to take a defense to try and make sure they push a light tank up there, because it handles a lot of problems.
Okay.
Having somebody to get back there and do those kind of resets. It's a great position if you can get there. Pushing across the A line right now.
Action exploding already. Overload Prime and Nits taking a little bit of damage. They push on down. They're going to start on this northern cap, though, and try to pressure #U to make the response. Going on the grind. Noctep Putin going to be looking at their first target, but the second photo finish pops out. He gets dropped to below half health in that IS-3. Great crossfire coming out from the side of #RU. And now Noctep Putin coming around trying to find Drynets. He gets one more shot off. Overload Prime going to finish him up, and that's one tank dropping now. Adroxus, though, is taking some damage in return. 28 seconds on that cap. Let's see if Kazo can make it in time. A good reset's come out, but it drops back down as the more going back and forth. Some resets popping in. The Valera Desolator getting some shots through the window onto Nits, which is some great pressure. Now Drynet's in a lot of trouble. He's getting crossfired from those AMX 5100s. He will go down. Abrasive going to pick him up. And now 75 seconds. SIMP has decided to get off of the cap. Overload Prime being the next target. He needs to find a place to go. Brodus hopefully going to be some good backup for his teammate there, but Godzilla mode pushing in that IS-3, trying to get some shots on Overload Prime. He does. One more shot, and Overload Prime will go down. He gets a response, but Game is Rigged, gonna pick him up. And now 5 tanks to the side of 6 on #RU, 5 on the side of SIMP. This takes some damage from the side over there from Kazo. Brodus taking some good damage from Game is Rigged, and now this is not looking good for Elevate as they are just getting picked apart from all these different corners. Brodus in a bad position. He is out of ammo. He is now just a sitting duck there. Hopefully Godzilla is going to hopefully try to run in there and take him out. Game is rigged, and Vkun going to push on these two IS-3s in here. Crimson Corsair still having a full clip. Let's see if they unload. Godzilla mode finding Brodus on that corner. That's what they needed. And Kazo taking a good chunk of damage, though, from Nitz. And Photo Finish going to finish him off in that T-37, bring it back to a 4-5, but the health is in extreme favor on the side of #RU as Abrasive finding Nitz. Photo Finish now going to be the next, and now we have the rest of #RU pushing in. Crimson Corsair and a little bit of a dish, or a little bit of a crevice there. Game Music going to do a little drive-by, picking him up. Now Godzilla mode going to be the next person trying to find him down. Vkun, though, going to find Photo Finish. Adroxis going to be the last one to fall. Let's see who's going to pick it up. I believe it's going to be Godzilla mode. Let's see if it is. It is not. No one's going to pick him up. Some bounces on his IS-3. Vkun going to be able to finish it. #RU picking up a victory here against SIMP. Now, David, looking at that, we were talking about #RU coming through. It looked like SIMP was in the minds of #RU. They put a lot of people on the west, but they did a really good decisive push, sending those 3 members in the back, which ended up not flanking, right? Because Kazu just came back. He decided to bail off the hill.
Yeah, Dryness moved up the 8 line, so there wasn't really a player to get that pick on. And not a whole lot of other pressure came into the 8 line. A lot of tanks from SIMP were in the 8 line, so you couldn't really get that flank. But they did kind of get a flank of sorts coming through the courtyard and whatnot. Sure. Kazo coming off the hill in that situation, I don't quite understand that. I think he could have gone up on the hill. Okay. You know the 12T is going to be applying cap pressure where SIMP used him, and that's a big part of why teams are bringing a 12T on offense like that. So Kazo could have very easily gotten up there and guaranteed that reset would have happened, because he can pull down the 0 line and snipe into the back of the 12T. Now the timing I'm not 100% sure about. Okay. But either way, Godzilla mode carrying that team doing a great job with a ton of damage from his window that he was at. But in general, just a very classic, maybe not classic, but modern classic of how to defend on Himmelsdorf. SIMP making a handful of mistakes, #RU essentially making none, and capitalizing on it. Clean win. Yeah, now we're going to be switching sides here, looking at SIMP going against Elevate. Now, SIMP did, I believe they won 3 matches on Himmelsdorf against Elevate when SIMP was playing them last week? Yes, they held strong on 2 defenses, and they won 1 on offense with that 0 line blitz. Right, so now, going from a team who was so confident, they did perform so well. Again, they've only lost 1. #RU just took 1 game. Do you think we're going to see them use those same strats against Elevate? I mean, it works so well against them, or is it so, kind of game to game? Well, instead of answering that, instead of theory crafting, let's take a look at the battle as we're into our next one, ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd battle of Match 2, SIMP versus #RU. Let's get right into it. And David, walk me through what we got for tanks. Same lineups yet again, although the lights have switched. So 2 5100s, 4 IS-3s for both teams. And now that #RU is on offense, they're taking the 12T, and now that SIMP is on defense, they're taking the T-37. So both teams potentially even practicing against each other. It's often kind of what you see in these kinds of situations. But we will see where they are going. SIMP moving less into their northern positions than they did before. That heralds good things for them already, as they can't get some sort of meta strategy run on them. Potentially getting better courtyard control. So if #RU were to go up the 8 line at all, they could take quite a bit of damage. Where Crimson is going makes a lot of sense. Overall, though, not entirely sure what #RU is doing. Probably pushing into the west, given their positions. SIMP getting incredibly aggressive here. Moving 1 tank across the courtyard. This is game changing. Yeah, we haven't seen this at all. Game, if it works. That is assuming. I guess if it works. I guess that's one good thing that we have to look at when people are doing something new. It's like, oh, it looks crazy. But if it works, it is just crazy. Valera now, Desolator, in a little bit of trouble. Nit's going to go ahead and push up onto him. Let's see if that's going to be enough for a proxy spot. It is. He is being proxy spot there in that IS-3, who's now on the side. Photo Finish, very aggressive. And going to take some damage. Looks like from Abrasive up on the hill, I believe. Or Kazo, one of the two, getting some shots off there. Crimson Corsair and Dryness overall on that west side. Crimson going to move down a little bit. And now Adroxis and Overload Prime. Looks like they're going to push up, maybe try to find Valera in this AMX 5100. But look at the 4 members of #RU now pushing very definitively up toward Photo Finish. But Crimson and Dryness is going to run on. Let's see. This looks like a battle is about to explode here.
on both of these different sides of the map. Shots going out already. Valera taking a good chunk of damage, but also Phone of Finish getting some in return. Valera now coming on the side. Nitz is going to pick him up, although Prime and Adroxys trying to find this overmatch. Let's see who's going to win the battle first. Will it be #RU on the side, or will it be Simp? It looks like Simp's going to be the one to pick it up as Overload Prime finds Valera, but Vakuum with a quick response, taking Photo Finish down the IS-3. Drynitz now in a bit of a problem as Kazo finds that pick from the hill. A beautiful shot sniping down there, overlooking that courtyard. Maxed out Putin, though, getting extremely low. One more shot, and he will drop. Let's see who's going to pick it up. Nitz is on the reload. Will he pick it? He does. Nitz finds it in that IS-3, and now a 2-for-2 exchange. 5-on-5. Simp versus #RU. The health extremely close here, and we see chaos starting to ensue. Kazo finding and holding that spot over the Prime, getting a lot of damage from the back. Abrasive gonna pick him up with a shot, and he is ready to go. He has a lot of shots left in that AMX 5100, and Adroxys is hopefully gonna get on the run, trying to get behind that cover. He finds it just in time, but game is rigged now, getting destroyed from Nitz and Adroxys. A good pickup from them. Crimson Corsair in that T-37, full health. He still has shots. Let's see if he can find him. Godzilla gonna pick up Adroxys. Vakuum, though, over here on the side against the member of Brodus in the AMX 5100, getting a good chunk of damage, and Abrasive and Godzilla trying to bully Nitz here as he's by himself in this IS-3. He surely will go down. There it is. Abrasive picking up Crimson Corsair. Looks like Vakuum is going to be the target, and they find him. A now 3-for-2. Left and right, this teeter-totter going back and forth now in the favor of #RU. Simp looks like they trying to find a way to reset this, getting out of there. Brodus having one more shot. Let's see if he can find it before he goes in the reload. He will. He takes a shot, but no damage coming through. Luckily, he doesn't find any. But being on a reload in the AMX 5100, not going to bode well for him. Kazo in that AMX 12T, however, full shots, full rounds in his ammo, full health. This is looking really good for #RU. Not so much for Simp here. Brodus still in the reload, trying to find some cover, trying to buy time as much as he can for that ammo to stock back up. Crimson Corsair getting some shots onto Abrasive as he's trying to run around the corner, but now Brodus is in a lot of trouble. Kazo gonna turn, gets one shot up, one more, and Abrasive does find it. Brodus goes down. One more tank remaining for Simp here, looking like #RU gonna pick this one up. He has 3 minutes to run around the clock, but Godzilla mode going onto that cap. A smart play on the side of #RU. And #RU just coming out strong there from that kind of chaotic opening from Simp.
That was just interesting, like intriguing, amazing all around. I like Simp's opener there. It's very reminiscent of how things used to work in some of the older formats. And I'm just in general in favor of strong courtyard control, but that is probably a little bit too strong based on the amount of intel they had. I think the way that plan works and the several stages it can be in is a good plan, but I think you have to get a certain amount of intel before you actually pull the trigger on something like that, or what happened to them can happen. Or, you know, if they were getting zero-line push like they've done to other people, they would have gotten locked out of the northern cap, and it just would have been game over right then and there. Now, perhaps they're running off of some sort of intel that I didn't notice. I don't want to give them too little credit on that, but either way, a very gutsy call, a nice attempt, but ultimately a failure. Abrasive playing a fantastic game in his 5100. Kazo's still alive. That's great. I mean, a light tank surviving this whole thing. I wonder how much damage he's gotten so far, because he very well could have picked up quite a bit picking on 5100s and the like. Brodus making interesting plays. Basically, that entire fight was just a mirror of both sides. You know, like one IS-3 getting caught out, the other IS-3 getting caught out, and it's just all going back and forth. Abrasive doesn't care in this situation. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
2 seconds left on cap. This is sealed up for #RU.
Oh, there it is. Gonna take him
Rip
down.
Crimson.
Yeah, waiting. Not gonna wait for the clock to count down there. They're just gonna take the enemy out. But I do want to talk about that because you said something. You mentioned something in the beginning. How the two teams switched tanks. You said maybe it was the fact that they scrimmed each other. Do you think just coming through scrimming an opponent? Is that something that's very common in this Gold League?
You don't have any other options. I mean, it's not like you can kind of scrim European teams and perhaps other teams of other regions, essentially, but you have to scrim people in North America. Otherwise, there's just no way to practice this, refine this, get any better at it. Just a quick cursory glance at statistics to show kind of who won out throughout this entire thing. Right now, Kazo, 898 in his 12T. That's a lot of damage for a light tank on this. Crimson getting 1067. This is the match of the light tanks. Both of them did more than IS-3s.
Wow.
One of them did more. Both of them did more than one of the 5100s. Drynid's getting caught out and kind of ruined in this situation. where his position was a little bit sketchy, and I don't think they had any idea how many IS3s were in that position. Pulled around the corner and nuked him pretty hard, and that is the overall risk of what they were doing. But just great play from #RU. Abrasive. If you're going to play this well, do you mind letting me know ahead of time? Because I would put you on my fantasy team instead of
let
Putin
me know.
or
Call
something. I mean, Abrasive Fedge and I we actually went on a vacation a while ago after the grand finals. We met up in Prague. We were both kind of traveling around. So the whole reason of this story is not to just go off randomly about my personal life, although I'm sure you're interested to hear that.
I am.
It's more just to illustrate the fact that Abrasive, we're bros, man. Like, if you're going to do this, let me know, because I want points. And I'll maybe tell everybody else. But as it is, 1-1, Simp and #RU, sorry, 2-1. But what I was thinking is potentially a 1-to-1 from both sides. That's going to get complicated to even explain what I'm talking about there. But yeah, so one defensive loss for Simp.
Yeah.
Which keeps #RU in the game because they gave up a defensive loss. So it's all looking like it could be equal right now. #RU trying to pull it away.
Yeah, fairly balanced teams coming out as we're talking about these matches. Now, one thing I want to talk about also, just going back, just kind of finish my thought on the scrimming. Do you think it's something where, Simp fighting, scrimming against #RU, maybe it's something that they always do? Like, every time that they're going to be on offense, they go and they push the, Western cap, and Simp's like, hey, we know they do this, like, every time. Do teams make that confident of calls in actual play in the actual Gold League, or is it just kind of, because it did look like they almost had an inclination of that? Oh yeah, this is definitely where #RU is going to go.
From defense, typically not. Offense, sure. I mean, offense is the side you can gamble on, right? You're getting theoretical about it. From defense, typically you want kind of a measured response, unless it's one of those maps where defense isn't strong.
Okay.
And then you have to, because otherwise you don't stand a chance. But in general, that kind of like meta counter push, counter stratting thing doesn't happen so much here in North America as it does a lot more in Europe and Russia. In fact, the meta kind of hashes out there where nobody tries to come up with something new in terms of overall strategy.
Okay.
There's like kind of a standard. And then there's just ascending levels of meta based on responses of responses. Everybody goes back and forth, plus studying their opponent and seeing what they tend to favor, where maybe they can get a pick on a guy. It's very complex, but sometimes you can watch those matches and it would be very hard to tell, because unless you're very familiar with not only their style, but each of the teams and just the game, so you can see what's going on. It can be very hard to spot all those things, but I like watching it. It's pretty interesting. North America's starting to develop that right now, clearly, as the seasons have gone on, getting a little bit better about it, getting more comfortable with 754. Yeah. And right now, #RU needs to get another win.
Yeah, it's a time.
Perhaps they've got a little meta trick up their sleeve somewhere, but so far, Simp hasn't shown that they're going to do the same thing twice anywhere. So I guess if we're going to postulate, maybe that is what you can rely on. If they went one way in their first offense, now next time they're going to go the other way.
Let's see if they can do it.
It's a pattern, right? It's a pattern that's showing up so far. The best thing you can do is be random. Maybe have six strats in a dice or something. And you just throw it. And you're like, well, it's a 4, boys.
That's a great idea.
I mean, you keep it random.
Yeah.
Assuming you don't want to try and get into any sort of counter meta whatsoever. You're just comfortable in being able to run your strats, and all you want to do is make sure that they can't meta you.
Yeah.
Then random is in your favor. So not a bad idea.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see which dice number was rolled for this match. #RU going to hopefully win one more and tie it up against Simp. Ladies and gentlemen, to our next battle here, our 4th battle on Himmelsdorf. Simp on the defense, #RU on the offense. Let's take a look at what we got for our tanks.
Simp with a 110, 2 5100s, 3 IS3s, and a T37. While #RU with 2 5100s, 4 IS3s, and an AMX-12T. Both teams, out of both of them, the only one that is switching here is Simp, bringing up a 110 as opposed to one of their overall IS3s.
One thing I was saying, actually, I think I was incorrect there, is saying #RU, though, they were the ones who won the next match. So Simp are the ones who need to win to tie this one up here.
That's what I was just thinking about. I put the scores up and it's like, wait a minute, no, #RU won twice.
Yeah, they're the ones who control this. So hopefully, let's see if Simp can come back. Looking like they're doing a very similar opener from the last time. This kind of crazy new strat. Let's see if this is going to work out for him this time.
So as I've said before, a lot of teams. Oh, you're talking about Simp. I thought you were talking about #RU. Yes, Simp is definitely
Simp's
trying the same
doing the
thing
aggressive
again.
push.
As we've discussed, most teams have some sort of opener that is intended. So strats work in stages.
Okay.
And maybe we'll have time to talk about this. Maybe we won't. Valera Desolator ripping out one shot. He's going to need that one. I don't know if that was smart.
Yeah, again, Photo Finish also looks like he's in a little bit of a different position from last time. Pushed up a little further down south over on that 2 line. Valera, like I said, backing out. Dryness, though, taking some good damage from Abrasive up on the hill. Abrasive, though, getting some in return, it looks like. Pretty equal, and now the shots get fired out as these 3 IS3s from the side of Simp going to go ahead and try to find this overmatch. #RU, though, going to go and back their teammates up. Adrox is dropping extremely low. He needs to get out of there. He's about 2 more shots away in that IS3 as he's on reload. Looks like this side for Simp not going the same as last time. But over on this other side, Abrasive now deciding to come back down from the hill. Wk2 Putin and Wk2. Looks like they're about to find Brodus, Photo Finish, and Drynitz over on as Drynitz and Wk2 Putin exchanging some shots here. Godzilla mode taking about 470 points of damage. The shots back and forth on both the sides of the map. These overmatches coming out, but not quite as indefinite as last time, as we have 3-on-3 over on the side, but 4-on-2. For Simp in favor over on that Western overmatch. Adrox is just trying to stay safe. He's extremely low. Coming around the corner, Overload Prime taking shots off. Going to go ahead and miss the shots. Again, Abrasive now coming down from the side. It is now a 4-on-3 versus a 4-on-3 on both sides of this, ladies and gentlemen. Abrasive and Valera looks like they ran into each other a little bit. Godzilla mode getting extremely low. Overload Prime going to pick up Godzilla mode. A great start for the side of Elevate, but here comes, on the side of Simp. #RU, though, going to try to respond. Coming up the side, Overload Prime going to be the next target. Brodus fighting Wk2 Putin. Game is rigged, though, and Abrasive back-to-back kills, trying to even it back up over against Simp. #RU and Simp now battling it off. Valera finding Overload Prime. Wk2 getting extremely low. Photo Finish finding Abrasive, and now 4-3 as Crimson takes Wk2 in favor of Simp. #RU now trying to, looks like they're going to go for this northern cap, trying to find pressure. Kazo, full health, full rounds in that AMX 12T going up. And David, this time it looked like that strategy for Simp worked out.
It did indeed. Both teams adjusting a little bit, getting more isolation on the opposing side. A little bit of meta changing. Right now, I think it probably boiled down to how well everybody shot, though. I don't know if strategy made the biggest difference in that overall, with both teams making slight adjustments, but probably coming down to their actual firing skill. Simp in the better position, 200 hit points more. But the most important thing is they have 3 tier rates as opposed to 2, but none of them are particularly high, while Game is Rigged has a lot of hit points to absorb. It is somewhat debatable which position you'd rather be in. Several are 3 low tanks or 2 where one of them is high. I'd have to say it's pretty clearly in Simp's favor overall, though. But with the cap pressure rolling out, and as long as Kazo can spot them coming in, perhaps get a little bit of damage on a 5100, #RU is certainly not out of this.
All right, let's see what #RU if they can stay in this game, as Brodus and Photo Finish scaring Kazo off that cap and that AMX 12. And as he goes around the corner, Dryness getting a nice shot, 298 points of damage, which is getting to almost exactly half health there. A great pickup. But Game is Rigged. The moment Brodus pops out on the AMX 5100, gets decimated. Great crossfire shown. Amazing focus fire on the side of #RU. And now bringing it back 3-3. David, an AMX 5100 going down like that, I don't think all of his shots were off. That's a great pickup for #RU.
That was everything that #RU wanted right now. The problem is they're still on offense, so they have to find a way to initiate on Simp. Simp guaranteedly right now realizing, well, we lost our defensive advantage there. We shouldn't be getting aggressive. Let's try and get away from these guys before they pick up somebody else. Game is Rigged, pulling around the corner, potentially having a shot on Drynitz, but Drynitz gets right around just in time. Good foresight by Drynitz getting out of there before Game could jump on top of him. Kazo is going to be super critical here. He has to get some proper scouting to let everybody know where Game is Rigged. Let Valera and Game is Rigged know where they need to go in order to get these tanks. But Drynitz waiting for game is rigged. If he gets him directly on the corner, he can dump his entire clip into game and tie all this back up, or sorry, tilt it back in their favor. Game is rigged is lit by Crimson. This is getting intense.
Here we go, Game is rigged coming in the corner looking for Drynitz. Drynitz is scanning right in the direction. That's one shot going against. Let's see if it's going to be two. No, one more shot coming in. 401 points of damage. A lot going on that side. And Crimson needs to get there in time. Let's see if he can help his teammate. Drynitz going to go. No, photo finish. Going to finish him off. Saving Drynitz with an amazing pickup right there. 86 seconds and a minute and 10 left on the top. Kazo, Valera finding Drynitz, a good pickup there. Crimson Corsair going against Kazo. Let's see who's going to pick it up. It's going to be Crimson, and now 2v1. Valera, the last tank standing on the side of #RU and that AMX 5100. He's got 3 shots left. David, do you think that's enough if Photo Finish pushes in? They don't have to. They have plenty of time. Photo Finish, though, getting a little bit aggressive. Photo Finish gonna find him, picking him up. A great shot there. Simp now tying it 2-2 on Himmelsdorf.
So, you know, from our angle there, we're all, I guarantee you, so many people in chat are just sitting there thinking, why? Why would you make that play? Rest assured, he knew what he was doing.
Okay.
Now, he should have hit the shot, and he probably should have taken that corner. He has to take it at speed because the 5100, the way it's shaped, you'll spot it as you're driving around that corner, and you can expect Photo Finish to hit that shot.
Okay.
So you have to take it at relative speed so that you render when you actually have a shot on him.
Sure.
You need to position yourself the right way, and you need to hit it. Because otherwise, Crimson's going to show up and Crimson's going to win. As soon as Kazo went down versus Crimson, that was pretty much it for #RU. But either way, 2-2, just overall great play by Crimson.
Yeah.
Is what I noticed the most. A lot of his spots and in the shots that he took were super critical. Drynitz and Valera Desolator both coming out on top of damage for their teams. Both 5100s shooting fairly well. Both survived till right about the end.
Yeah.
Altogether, just a crazy match. I mean, I don't know how to really sit down and evaluate that.
Yeah.
So the opening stages for both teams are intended to gather a certain amount of intelligence so that they can then just figure out where they want to push, right?
Okay.
Where they want to allocate all their resources, all their
Right.
hardware.
Right.
And I don't think either of them got a whole lot of intel. They had some adjustments with #RU bringing some IS-3s over to back up Valera on the corner that he was on. But I noticed several bounce shots that probably could have made the overall difference there. I wasn't able to see what was going on the other side of the map, but obviously it worked out better, especially for Drynitz, who didn't die instantaneously this time.
Yeah.
I guess they had additional resources over there this time, or just because so many were taken away and put in the east side for #RU. It was just easier for Simp to overwhelm and win that, as I know their positions are often better.
Okay, yeah. One thing else I want to talk about is we saw Simp using that crazy opening, which seemed kind of chaotic coming out from the front.
Yeah.
The first time didn't work out. The second time it did. It worked out extremely well for him. I mean, you kind of talked about how they sent more to have, was it Vacuum, to help him out on those IS-3s on the side. But what do you think it was? Why did that work out so much better the second time around?
So the biggest thing for Simp is they didn't push anybody into the southwest corner of the courtyard. Typically, you can take one of the two corners with an actual tier 8. The southeast one's way better, by the way. It's not great, but it's better than the southwest one, which is pretty much death. I mean, you might be able to get like a very small tank in there and be relatively safe, but I every time I've gone there, I've only gone there if I know that I have to get certain kill shots.
Sure.
Because it's not a place you can just go in there and get kind of hull down with an IS-3 or something and last for a very long time. So just minor adjustments from both teams. Ultimately, again, just like the first match, probably it came down to largely shooting and focus fire and just basic mechanics. Both teams playing fairly well. Both teams making big mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's all tied up 2-2.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Shooting seems to be a very common theme that comes across. Shoot well, and you'll do well.
I mean, it's kind of important in a first-person shooter.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're into our 5th battle of match number 2, Simp versus #U on Lakeville now. I'm excited to see what both these teams got going on. Simp going to be on defense, #RU going to be on offense. And David, walk us through what do we got for tanks.
Simp with 3 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, an AMX-12T with #RU with 3 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an M44. Now, notably, #RU is on offense, where I believe the M44 does have a role now, thanks to Ox Mathis proving that quite liberally yesterday, or sorry, Tuesday. It all feels the same to me. I feel like it's all in fresh memory. #RU pushing strong into the city. and so is SIMP. This could be a crazy firefight.
One time we talked about how a lot of members of both these teams really focus on this map as a city map, as you do spawn so close to the city. So, in theory, you could kind of just ignore the rest of the map, which it looks like these teams are doing. Both very heavily guarding the city as Abrasive, taking a good focus fire amount from SIMP in that T-54. One more shot flying through photo finish. Won't quite connect as he has to back out of there. Some good opening damage from the side of SIMP against #RU, but again, we have Valera over there in that arty, sitting back in a city, David. If you're an artillery player, it seems like angles would be a lot harder to find.
There are one or two that you can shoot at that are actually very good close-up shots that will do a lot of damage on those you hit. More likely to penetrate and thus do a lot of damage on those you hit. But yeah, you're right. I mean, behind that church is not exactly easy to hit for the most part. I think it's generally better to go northwest, and if they had brought a lighter lineup, they kind of would have telegraphed it a little bit there. But right now, #RU taking 4-line control, getting ready to snipe SIMP if SIMP were to try and drive back towards the west.
Okay.
Probably readjust the artillery. Those IS-3s aren't going anywhere soon. Leaving them by themselves to handle SIMP is not a good idea, but if they do see SIMP retreating, as SIMP is doing right now, that's a very good position for them. They can put more resources in the west and initiate cap, leave the IS-3s where they are to fire from behind, and as long as they can handle to one-on-ones with 54s, as the lineups are relatively the same, and that M44 hits stuff, it'll work out for #RU, but there's just so many factors in this kind of situation, a lot of ifs and buts in about what happens at exactly what point in time. Abrasive checking out the 1-2, getting in for a potential one-on-one with Brodus, but he is low on hit points. This could not be good.
Let's see what's going to go down here. Two T-54s, T-54 lightweights going at it. Abrasive taking the first shot from Brodus. Now he's going to respond. And now on this 4-line, Wk2 Putin taking some good damage from a lot of angles. Good crossfire coming out there. I don't think he expected all those tanks to be focusing him so quick. And Drynit's going to find Wk2 Putin here. #RU already losing a tank early on into this. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. And Abrasive in some trouble himself. He's getting surrounded by 3 members. He will go down by Nitz. Nitz is going to pick him up. And that is not looking good for the side of SIMP here. David, we talked about how important it was. If SIMP was going to make their way back, then #RU should have started picking them off from that 4-line. It didn't look like they were able to do as much damage as they hoped.
No, I think they expected that intel to be a little bit more reliable, as they knew that there were a lot of tanks in the east. The response to it was late, and that is the only reason Abrasive was so alone, so overwhelmed. He was alone because he was alone, right?
Right.
But he was overwhelmed there with so many tanks getting able to cross because nobody spotted them coming out from the other side. And where Godzilla mode is, you can't exactly spot it easily unless you have maybe binoculars. Looks like Putin went down as well in the middle. Yeah. Just overall, in general, SIMP capitalizing on these mistakes and getting ready to isolate these IS-3s and probably wrap this battle up.
Absolutely. As we said over on the start, Godzilla taking some good damage from Drynitz. Adroxys, though, going to get some focus fire, but over on the other side, we have Crimson Corsair making the long way around, maybe trying to get some flanks. Valera and that IS-3, Valera Desolator getting decimated, but photo finish, amazing focus fire coming out, 853 points, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, as the health still on this 3-on-3 of these IS-3s do go into the favor of SIMP. Photo finish, going to find Valera there. Topol going to pick up Adroxys. Overload Prime, though. Drynitz finding back-to-back kills. Crimson Corsair looks like he's going to go around, try to find Vakuum. Game is rigged, is going to get destroyed by these 3v1 here, not putting any damage out. There it is. Drynitz picking up, and now Vakuum going to be just by himself in that M44 trying to find some cover in the city, but he is on offense. There's nothing he can do in this arty. Not even Ox Mathis could help him out in this situation.
He would have to be Ox Mathis, but either way, he'll have one little chance here to tank destroy Brodus. No scope. Is it coming out?
See, there it is. He does. He picks up Brodus. A nice little finish before he goes down to Crimson, and that's going to be another pickup for SIMP. Now bring it 3-2 against #RU on Lakeville. David, going back on this match, or this battle, I want to talk about, like we were saying, Abrasive going over on the side, but the rest of the team almost not reacting quick enough or not reacting as they would like? What do you think stopped that?
The only thing I can think is a byproduct of bringing so many IS-3s is that you're not light enough. If they had been largely T-54s, as soon as they saw that much resources from SIMP, assuming that SIMP would even go into the courtyard and have that fight, if they saw it, a lot of those decisions are based off of the fact that there are IS-3s there, and you don't want to necessarily give them the city. But yeah, if it was all T-54s and SIMP did the same thing, then you see them and you just laugh and you take everything else and you go around the other side.
Right,
and
which we saw Rival do.
Right. I believe we also saw Rival do something similar to this with IS-3s as well. We saw some team do it. It was Refuse. Refuse had IS-3s, heavy tanks, and they maybe 5100s as well. But either way, they flexed back and forth and they were able to seal that flank. It just takes a lot more finesse and a lot better gameplay.
Sure.
Simply put, #RU messed up big time.
Okay, and now looking at the side of Wk2 and the M44, we talked about, it's a very common, idea that if you sacrifice those points, those hit points, then you're already has to do a lot of damage. Did he do that? Do you think he actually, do you think it was worth them picking that M44 up, or do you think they should have gone for a lighter tank in that setup? What happened when that happened there?
I don't think the M44 is a bad choice at this point in time. I mean, considering that Wk2 only hit one shot in that entire battle, and it was
at the end.
The TD mode at the end. No scoped. It worked. I mean, sorry, it can work if they get him a better look and better position. I'd probably put him in like A4, A5. If you're going to have a city fight, maybe A6. I have to recheck the angles there, but definitely not where he was.
Sure.
He just doesn't have the shots.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for our next battle. Let's see if #RU can get those better positions as we are in our next battle on Lakeville. David, what do we got for tanks?
SIMP with 3 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and AMX-12T. #RU going heavier, 3 IS-3s, a T-32, 2 54 lightweights, and an M44. If I were SIMP, I would not go into town. I would get away from it because that T-32 could make all the difference in that fight. And it looks like they see the same thing. Drying into Drox's photo finish. Turning around. Nope.
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 Don't do it.
Don't want any
Don't
of
do
that.
it.
But we'll see if they can actually get better positions than they would have had otherwise, because either way, there will be a fight coming out on this east side.
Yeah.
And I don't know if SIMP is going to have the right positions to win it. This is going to come down to just general tank skills again. I'm not really sure about what #RU is doing here. They were doing so well, and I hope for their sake and the entertainment of our viewers that they do not do what I think is about to happen here, because it could go really badly for them.
And it looks like we have SIMP 3 members, Brodus, Overload Prime, and Nits pushing on the Valley up that 2 line. Maybe just to the halfway point. Looks like they're actually stopping. They didn't continue. Maybe just checking and make sure they weren't getting flanked. Going to hang out there for a little bit. David, do you think it would have been smarter for them just to push up?
No. Yes and no. They need to stop doing what they're doing right now. They need to stop being
sitting
middle
there
and get somewhere. Because right now they're leaving their buddies hanging out to dry. Now, all they would have done if they gone over the top is pick up that M44. They're much better used here in the south. Perhaps they could have gotten 4 line, but either way, actually kicking off.
Absolutely.
Getting lit up.
Maktab Putin going to run a little farther. Photo finish is going to try to find him, but he's now surrounded. The rest of #RU Godzilla mode coming around the corner to help him out. Drox is doing his best to fend off the enemy, trying to buy his teammates some time, but let's see if it's going to be enough. Photo finish does. If he gets one more shot at Maktab Putin, that might be good enough, but let's see if #RU is going to let him. Godzilla getting a shot off. He has one more shot. Let's see if he's going to take it. He's looking for the shot. Maktab Putin also, when he does get it, not a Maktab Putin, and Godzilla going to find photo finish in that IS-3, 1 tank down on the side of SIMP. #RU, like you said, going for the overmatch. But look up here, we've got on the northern side the 3 members going to find Wk2, Brodus, Nits, and Overload Prime. They're trying to respond to this. Also, we've got Crimson Corsair going to join them, trying to find an overmatch here, leaving the rest, these 2 IS-3s down at the end by themselves. We do have some crossfire coming in from Overload Prime and that T-54. They are now coming around. Wk2's still alive. There he goes. He finally drops. Crimson Corsair going to pick it up, but Adrox's, Abrasive finding Adrox's, and now Dryness is going to be the next target. Topol, though, missing the shot. Let's see if that's going to spell anything. It does not. Abrasive going to finish him off, and now it is only 4 members remaining against SIMP, but Brodus trying to claw their way back, helping SIMP out, getting respond against those health deficits. More shots going on against Abrasive in Godzilla mode, getting a good amount of damage. Now we have a sort of a flip here as our #RU on the defensive side. Simp going to be where the aggressors start out, taking the city. David, what do you think we're going to see in these next couple of seconds? This game reserve moving down against Overload Prime.
I think #U is going to just try and chase him away, put on cap pressure, and make Simp come back to them to handle it. But it looked like for a moment, or at least what was going on in my head, is whenever Simp came in, initiated that flank, and #RU had finished pushing out everything they could in the southeast. There was a little bit of a moment of, well, now what? oh right, we can cap and we can push into the town. And they're getting it together. These IS-3s, T-32 are in the proper positions. They can put Godzilla mode and Valera on cap here. Godzilla mode doing a pretty great job in his T-54. A little bit of bouncing on an IS-3 that otherwise should have died earlier, but he protected his T-54 buddy, and that is what needed to happen at this point in time. Really, everything is on Simp right now.
Yeah.
Nitz needs to find a way in. Brodus needs to keep playing well. Overlord getting shots. One reset coming out. Christian, take us away. 8 seconds left.
Yeah, 7 more seconds now. Crimson Corsair, they need to find the reset, and they need to find it quickly as 4 seconds remain. Crimson getting a nice shot on Valera, getting that reset, but the cap keeps dropping as so many members of #RU are on this eastern cap. 4 more seconds. A nice little reset coming in there from across the way as Overlord Prime. Abrasive, though, going to take down Nitz. 3 more seconds, getting another reset, but it's not going to be enough as Bro is trying to find the way. It is now down to 0. #RU looks like they've held this one. They've successfully attacked on this next map against Simp. Bro is trying to find something, but it's not going to happen. #RU picking up a good victory, tying it up again. 3-3.
We have a battle. I mean, Simp is just going long with every single team they're playing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, every single. 2. So far, 2.
What's every
it's
single?
only 3-3.
What's every single?
They could close it out from here on out. I don't know about that. #RU, good overall adjustments, I guess. I really want to say more than anything else, that was a big mistake on Simp's part. Pushing up the 1-2 made a certain amount of sense. I think there was a meta call. They wanted to catch those 2 T-54s. So perhaps trying to bring enough heavy tanks to bring into the city so you can't really ignore them.
Yeah.
And then 2 54s would be enough to do a flank. Now, that's not what I would think is going to be happening because it leaves your 54 open or your 44 open. I would expect him probably more to be in the 4 line, so perhaps Simp was thinking they would come around behind him and cap in the 4 line.
Right.
I don't know how to get in these 2 teams' heads of what they're trying to do right now, but it didn't work out for Simp. Those 3 tanks spending way too long in the 1-2, no matter what their overall purpose was.
In the middle.
And then that's Ripperino's right there. Valera Desolator doing. Let's go to stats. I think we got time.
Let's check it out.
We got time. It's been a minute since we've delved into the wonderful world of numbers. Valera Desolator, 10 shots, 7 hits, 6 penetrations for nearly, well, just about 2,300 damage. Took a couple shots himself, some reasonable bouncing. Let's see, Drynitz, not particularly great numbers, even though he is top on there. Photo finish the same. Adroxis. None of these tanks really found a way to get into the fight. One of them, they were just being kind of picked off one by one. #RU finding superior positions, overwhelming them. Now, their numbers don't look particularly fantastic for that, but either way, they got it done. It worked quite well. Vacuum loves Tafa yet again. 0 on the overall efficiency here of how well he is doing. So I'd have to go at this point and say, I think it's time to give up the M44 for #RU. Tell him perhaps you practice a little bit more or something, because even holding for 2 shots, probably not the ideal way to play that arty. I'd almost rather just let him fly than only fire twice in the duration of an entire battle.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be into our next battle of Lakeville. Simp versus #RU. We are now switching sides. Simp's going to be on the attack, #RU on the defense. Let's get right into this battle and check out what we got for tanks.
Simp with 2 IS-3s, a T-32, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an FV-304. #RU with 2 IS-3s, a T-32, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a 12T. So pretty much the same lineups side to side, except Crimson and FV-304 as opposed to the M44 we're used to seeing in this situation, and Valera and a 12T. The 12T can easily find that FV-304. Crimson probably preferring the FV-304 on this map due to, if I remember correctly, an overall higher angle of fire.
Okay.
Now, I may be wrong on that. I'm not exactly an artillery expert. but that is what British artillery is typically known for. M44's got a pretty reasonable angle as it is, but Lakeville is a map of much elevation.
Wow.
So that would not surprise me whatsoever if that's what they're going for with that one. SIMP rolling into the northwest. Hashtag are you not overcommitting in the east, but they really need to start heading back. Otherwise, SIMP could cause problems, but SIMP is not running heavy enough to really exploit this right now. Otherwise, we have a situation in 20 seconds. Adrox is getting wrecked.
Wow, absolutely. A lot of shots. Great focus fire coming from Hashtag RU. The artillery just missing Vacuum there, and more shots going out from the side of Hashtag RU against SIP across this lake. Wk2 Putin and Abrasive pushing in on that four line, as well as Valera. Now it looks like Gabe is really getting some response back in that IS-3 there. Now a lot of response, actually. 630 points. He has to get back out of there. Again, the artillery looked like it just missed there as Topol, game is rigged. Vacuum in Godzilla mode just backing off back into the city. Now we have the health slightly in favor of SIMP. Another arty shot just missing. But this is an interesting spot. I haven't seen teams yet hold this kind of northern cap, not pushing quite to the valley. Now we do see SIMP doing that. But what was the main reason for holding it there? Was it just because they had Topol and game spotted?
Yeah, I mean, if you run this heavy as SIMP does, there will always be a vulnerability when you move across the top. Now, Hashtag RU's strategy seemed to be to try and force a conflict in the eastern side. And when that didn't happen, Master Putin and Abrasive getting lights out of the middle, able to secure this, separating Adroxis and Photo Finish. They're not going to leave anytime soon, but there's still plenty of tanks running down the 1-2.
Yeah.
And Hashtag RU is already returning there. There's going to be a split fight going on here. And who knows who's going to take it.
Let's see what's going on. Valera need to get out of there. He's kind of wised up what's going on, and he is booking it, trying to get back behind cover as the four members of SIMP pour out onto that J2 line. He does find good little cover behind the house there. Abrasive now coming back down to help him out. Photo Finish taking some good damage from Godzilla mode, and that T-54 lightweight over on the side, getting some good angles back in there. Abrasive getting some shots in, taking some in return. And now we have a very spread out map. We have kind of teams all over the place. Valera trying to poke out to get some damage, but take some to the face. Probably not expecting that. Dryden is now in that IS-3, finally joining a little bit slower, but he is now making it as we have 5 members over onto this southwestern cap on Lakeville. Adrox up top taking some good response. He's pretty low, and Godzilla gonna pick him up from the side. A good sort of relief on the side of Hashtag RU. Just Photo Finish remaining up there. If they can take him down, they'll be able to send the rest of their forces to kind of deal with it. SIMP need to find a way to kind of capitalize on this or put some pressure. A shot going out from the arty, again, just missing Vacuum. He's doing a great job. I don't know if it's him or the shots coming out from the Crimson, but he's doing a great job just kind of dodging those barely. Photo Finish still kind of huddling up there over in that brush up top. Wk2 Putin now making his way back down the 4 line, coming to kind of aid the rest of his team. And David, we see SIMP finally now applying pressure. Are they doing this quick enough, or should they have done it maybe a little bit sooner?
I don't know if there is a quick enough or too late in their current situation. Photo Finish is caught out. He and Adrox is basically getting isolated and picked on by Putin in Godzilla mode, who had great positions in their 54s. And Photo is going to be stuck here, so that's an efficient use of Putin this entire time. Okay. As spending an 8 to lock out an 8, not a bad call, provided you don't need to imbalance the other side. With SIMP down a tank, that means that the southern fight is inherently imbalanced in Hashtag RU's favor. All they need to do is make sure that cap does not build up too high. It's not particularly hard for them to do. Drynets may be a little bit tricky to reset. SIMP's going to be heavily relying on Crimson's incredibly fast rate of fire and his angle to pick on these people who are trying to reset Drynets, but I don't think that SIMP is in an advantage here, although they are closing that hit point gap and actually extending their hit point lead quite a bit here. But as soon as Putin comes down from the south, because where Photo Finish is irrelevant at this point. I would just pull Putin down and push it and get it done. Sure. Because Photo's not going to get there in any reasonable amount of time.
I know. Also talking about that, we see they've decided to bring Godzilla mode back from the front, moving him back. There goes Photo Finish. Looks like he's starting that move. Wk2 Putin gonna go up and try to maybe a fight with him as he does get some shots off, but taking some return. Photo Finish, a T-32 versus a T-54 lightweight. Let's see who's gonna come out on top. Photo Finish taking a lot of damage in return. Let's see if he can get a shot off. Also, Dryness getting reset. I don't know if that's Godzilla, but doing a great job of resetting that cap pressure. Hashtag RU. Looks like they're controlling this. Wk2 Putin will finish Photo Finish off. and that T-32, and now he has time to come and join the rest of the team. SIMP need to find something to do, and they need to do it quickly, but they're against 7 members of #RU, having just 5 remaining. Dryness taking a lot of damage. Good crossfire coming out there, getting dropped below half. They're now moving up. They're pushing up. Let's see if they can find what they need, but again, on the corner, meeting them is #RU, taking a lot of damage, giving a lot of damage, I'm sorry, on the side of SIMP. Nits taking some damage in return as well. An already shot going off against Wk2, but not much. And over on the valley, Putin running in that T-54. He's going to find a great way to make it in time. SIMP is getting torn apart here. Not looking like there's much that they can do. Overload Prime Overload Prime going down to Abrasive. Game Reserve finding Brodus. And #RU now just going to be on cleanup duty, as Nit's going to be the next one to drop. Godzilla going to pick him up. Now Dry Nits and Putin, the only ones that remain here. Putin going around. They see exactly where Crimson Man is, that FV304, and he's going to try to get that shot on him. Wk2 finding Dry Nits. One more shot. The Ram will finish him off. Putin getting it, and #RU taking another victory, now making it 4-3 on SIMP against Lakeville.
This is
back and forth and back and forth.
If #RU closes this out, it will be one of the biggest plays they could make this entire season.
Ooh.
Taking down SIMP, getting themselves back in the running. SIMP was arguably looking like they may have been a top 4 team, right?
Yeah.
Refuse taking out High Voltage makes them look like they might be a top 4 team. Now #RU potentially throwing their hat in the mix.
This is great.
We could have like a indistinguishable top 4 with perhaps Elevates in the top. Perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll keep them out there because they're fantastic.
I mean, they haven't lost yet. So
but
but
it's so true. I mean, they're doing a great job. We were just talking about how this match is one that's going to be exciting to look for, because both teams are so close in that bracket. SIMP trying to hang on, trying to keep their way to elevate to be that contender. #RU also trying to find those kills, and #RU doing a great job. It will be exciting to see if they can clean it up.
And even more than that. So if #RU wins this, they play Elevate next week. And if they win this in a 5-4 situation, or even better, a 5-3 situation, while Elevate won their battle with SIMP in 5-4 in overtime, you're starting to look at what could be numerically
maybe sort of upset.
A relatively equal fight, or perhaps an upset. Plus, worth mentioning is that is right after roster changes. So anything could happen. I mean, you could get a situation where perhaps teams are losing a little bit of loyalty, and you get some star players dropping other teams because #RU is getting better. Who knows what could happen? Players could leave. You could pick up star players. Either way, I don't want to choose sides in this right now. But it would be so exciting if #RU won. It would make everything in the league so much harder to predict, which I always love. But right now, SIMP is going to have to learn, or is going to have to figure out their response to tie this up and get themselves back in this fight.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. Let's see if #RU can do it, if they can make a 5-3 victory against SIMP here, or if SIMP can hopefully tie it up and go into a tiebreaker where they have another chance at taking this away. Ladies and gentlemen, we are into our 8th battle on Lakeville. #RU versus SIMP. SIMP on the offense, #RU on the defense. And David, what do we got for our tanks?
SIMP with a 110, a 5100, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and an FV304, while #RU is running 2 IS-3s, a T-32, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. The FV304, actually, you know what? I intended to check out his statistics and see exactly how well he did. I apologize for that. It looked like he was hitting a lot of shots, so I definitely think he was worth it, but I'm not sure if the rest of the team was able to make up for that initial mistake. #RU's brilliant play, catching them out in the open, and already getting a pick on 2 tanks. Right now, #RU getting what they've been looking for this entire set, a fight in the city.
There it is, like you said, and it looks like SIMP doing a lot differently. Instead of sending those guys up north, they are going to go full members in the city, keeping Crimson back there, getting a nice little shot onto Wk2 there, about 132 points of damage. Now, David, talking about this RD that he picked up, the FV304, obviously the reason it doesn't do as much damage is because of the quicker reload time it has. Why do tankers kind of sort of choose these different types of RDs, and what style of play does that kind of benefit?
You know, on a map like this, I think the biggest factor would be arc. I will definitely find out about that for sure.
Gotcha.
What I remember is that the FV304 had a ridiculous arc, and what I saw there, yes, it had a very high one. Shots coming out from Abrasive and Master Putin, coming out from the middle, photo finish in a tricky place. This is exactly what #RU's been looking for this whole time, but Brodus and Overlord Primer coming over the top, that could be a huge problem for what #RU is doing.
Yeah, as you see, that's the response that Simp hopefully are needing to stay in this battle, as the city not quite working out for them. They have decided to pull some people. Valera Desolator coming down that H0 line, going a little closer. Game is rigged now. Take some damage to that IS3 back. Photo finish, and Drox is kind of hiding along the church over here. Brodus and Overload Prime doing a good job at shooting from across the map, and Moktep Putin also coming too, but this looks like the fight that they're going to need. Overload Prime and Brodus coming against these 254 lightweights. Let's see what's going to happen. Overload Prime coming and getting the first shot off. A shot coming across and tracking Overload Prime. Not going to be able to get the damage on that ram that he probably wanted, but now Abrasive and Putin, a nice little going. Brodus, though, getting extremely destroyed. Try and make his way behind the rock. Not going to make it time. Abrasive going to be the next one. Crimson Crosshair with a beautiful arc from that already getting a kill, but Moktep Putin going to respond. Now it's Overload Prime fighting against Moktep Putin. Moktep Putin will get that kill, and he is the sole survivor. So hashtag RU coming out on top on that little battle going across the 4 line. And David, what's this spell for hashtag RU here?
I'll handle that after we see this push happen. Simp's trying to make up for what they just lost, pushing on hashtag RU in the city right now.
Absolutely, there we go. They're coming in across. They're going to see if they can respond to what's going on. Nit's taking a lot of damage, though, as he tries to push out hashtag RU. Not going to let it happen. The game is rigged. Finding Nits in that AMX 5100. A great job on the side of hashtag RU, controlling this battle completely. Topol gonna try to back out of there in the IS3 as he is on reload, but these 3 tanks all in the corner. Godzilla mode, the fire, the cross is going out like crazy. Adrox is dropping low. He is now one more shot, trying to find what he can. The shot from the Artie not quite making it over the top of the roof here, and Adrox is getting extremely low. He is one more shot away. Godzilla Mo will be the one to pick it up. He is taking that ISU down. A great pickup, and hashtag RU continuing their dominance, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like they're going to be the one to pick up this 5th victory against SIMP on Lakeville. An amazing turn of events here on the favor of hashtag RU. Game is rigged, finding photo finish, and now it is just Crimson and Dryness remaining. Crimson trying to find his way, maybe going tank destroyer mode, doesn't quite get the shot onto Godzilla. Godzilla going to turn around and fire that one off. It is over, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag RU getting the 5th victory over Simp. David, you said it.
Hashtag RU beats Simp.
What just happened?
I think that's the second time that's happened in history. It's a repeat all over again, except
wow.
Just wow. I mean, the fantastic block by Abrasive, and if I remember correctly, Putin in the middle.
Going in there on
that
the
is
line.
how I've been in that scout fight many times. So when those angles line up for you to get that fire support, I'm so excited it's hard to get the words out. To get that fire support from the rest of your team where hashtag RU is in the corner, they have shots behind that rock. So Abrasive and his buddy step up there, block them with their face so they have nowhere to go. The only contributing factor to that fight for Simp was Crimson Corsair, who overall was doing a great job in all those sets, but it wasn't enough to make up for what happened. That played out exactly the way hashtag RU wanted. Ladies and gentlemen, I think hashtag RU might be coming back. I cannot wait to see them play Elevate next week, as we finally may see somebody unseat Elevate's strong undefeated lead so far.
Man, like we were saying, coming from Season 4 of the victors, it looks like they finally found what it takes, doing a great job showing that they're on the front. They want to be the top team, and David, I'm really excited to see after these roster changes what happens next week. Again, congratulations to hashtag RU, a great pickup against Simp there, and that'll end our 2nd match of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with match number 3, which is going to be Lamp versus Team Refuse. Don't go anywhere.
Freeze out! Out!
Joining us now from Montreal, Quebec is the captain of first place Team Refuse, Giuliano Leroy Rohana, aka Coolhammer. Bonsoir, bienvenue à Present Arms.
Merci for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. So at this end of the last season, you guys had a short roster but managed to avoid relegation during the playoffs. You guys have started off this season with 2 strong, decisive victories. What changes did you guys make in the offseason?
Well, after finishing the last season with 8 players, our main focus was to rebuild the team. So we had to move out one of our old friends, Backstas, to make space for active players. After that, we recruited 3 new persons, KT, Drogon Pro, and Mort. These 3 guys didn't have any experience with the league's format, so we started practicing in order to be ready for WGLNA Season 6.
And your game against High Voltage is going to be a hard test with all their combined experience. How have you been preparing with your 3 new members?
Oh yeah, of course. This season we're taking every opponent seriously, including High Voltage. Our preparation for them won't be really different from our preparations before facing Synergy Gaming and Maple Freedom. We'll do our best, and hopefully the RNG gods will be on our side. The only thing we can promise you is that our upcoming match will be electrifying.
Yeah, it should be a good match. And after 3 seasons as top tier, you decided to change things up and are now Team Refuse. Why the change?
Playing for yourself and playing for a gaming organization are two different feelings, right? So we had fun and gathered experience as top tier for 3 seasons. Now we feel ready to take it to the next level and become real professionals under our new brand, Team Refuse.
Well, best of luck to you guys in week number 2. I'll see you guys in the battle in week number 4. Bonne nuit, au revoir.
Merci again for having me on your show. I enjoyed it a lot. See you on the battlefield.